Good evening. This is a little known Black history fact with Pat and Dee Dee for November 27th. We're going to be discussing Bishop John Hurst Adams. He was born November 27th, 1927, and passed away on January 10th, 2018. He was an American civil rights activist and a bishop in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. He also served as a college president. Bishop John Hurst Adams was pastor at Seattle's first African Methodist Episcopal Church from 1962 to 1968 and a leader in the city's civil rights struggle. He moved to other cities and states after 1968, rising to national prominence as a religious and civil rights leader. With his early life, he was born in Columbia, South Carolina, to Reverend Eugene Avery Adams and Charity Nash Adams. He and his three siblings were raised in a spiritual and intellectually stimulating home. His father was an African Methodist Episcopal minister and a social activist who in the 1920s organized the first Negro Bank in Columbia and the first statewide civil rights organization in South Carolina. None of these activities went unnoticed by young John, and they helped to define his later focus and commitments. He was educated in the segregated Columbia school system and graduated from Booker T. Washington High School in 1947. His undergraduate work was completed at Johnson C. Smith University in Charlotte, North Carolina, where he earned a degree in history. 5 years later, after studying at Boston University School of Theology, he received a Bachelor of Sacred Theology, STB. By 1956, he had earned his Master of Sacred Theology, MTB, there. While at the university, he befriended Martin Luther King Jr., who was pursuing a PhD in systematic theology. He became an apostle of King and his doctrine of nonviolence. Adams also studied at Harvard University and Union Theological Seminary. As a seminary student, Adams was assigned to the pastorate of Bethel AME Church in Lynn, Massachusetts. He served on the seminary teaching faculty at Payne Theological Seminary at Wilberforce University in Ohio. In 1956, he became president of Paul Quinn College in Waco, Texas, and also served as campus pastor to all the students. In 1962, Adams came to Seattle as pastor of First African Methodist Episcopal Church, FAME, and began his ascent as a national leader. The members of the church were at first dismayed by this fiery young man who spoke out so bluntly about social conditions in the city and by his style of ministry. The white community labeled him a troublemaker. Not long afterward, however, he became a leader of the civil rights movement in Seattle and had earned the respect of both the Black and white communities. He chaired the Central Area Civil Rights Committee, made up of heads of all the local civil rights organizations, ranging from Congress of Racial Equality, CORE, Walter Hundley, NAACP, Charles Johnson, and E. June Smith, to Seattle Urban League, Edwin T. Pratt, who was murdered on the doorstep of his home in 1969. This committee was forceful and unique because it had a unified front pressing for citywide racial reform, and it determined the local civil rights agenda. After that experience, he was appointed pastor of Grant AME Church in the Watts section of Los Angeles in 1968, 3 years after the riot. He became involved in NAACP activities and led a freedom patrol based on his Seattle experience. In 1972, he was appointed bishop of the 10th Episcopal District in Texas and continued his civil rights activism by escorting a student to integrate the Waco Public School and by supporting student protests to integrate all facilities in Waco. Recognizing the need for establishing communication across denominational lines, he founded the Congress of National Black Churches in 1978. From 1980 until 1988, he served as bishop of the 2nd Episcopal District in Maryland, Washington, D.C., North Carolina, and Virginia, and began his pioneering efforts of expansion by facilitating the formation of 35 new congregations in his jurisdiction. From 1992 until 2000, he was bishop of the Seventh Episcopal Church, South Carolina, where he promoted the formation of 10 new congregations and was a leader of the successful removal of the Confederate flag from the South Carolina State House. His last 4 years, from 2000 to 2004, were spent as bishop of the 11th Episcopal District, Florida and Barbados, and where he encouraged the growth of 11 new congregations and oversaw the reorganization of fiscal affairs and indebtedness. He retired in 2005 and became adjunct professor at the Candler School of Theology at Emory University. His special and civic ministries included a vast array of social and educational activities that included membership on the boards of 5 colleges and universities and national boards of organizations dealing with racial, economic, and social problems. He was the recipient of more than 25 awards for his service to his community. Adams and his wife had 3 children. He died on January 10, 2018 in Atlanta. His grandson, Malcolm Brogdon, is a professional basketball player for the Portland Trail Blazers. Thank you for allowing us to share this information about Bishop John Hurst Adams. Also, thank you to Google, AI Overview, Wikipedia, blackpast.org, historylink.org, and departments.washington.edu. So if you didn't know, now you know. Take care. Have a great evening.